Guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to be showing you my 10 best photos from my South Dakota trip, in my opinion. So I did visit South Dakota. I got back, what day was it? I think it was Sunday night, very late, and I went to Custer State Park, Wind Cave National Park, Jewel Cave National Monument, the National Memorial of Mount Rushmore, and Badlands National Park and Minuteman Missile National Historic Site. And yeah, there will be vlog videos. There are 3 parts that will be coming out in the next week, 2 weeks. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. The first honorable mention photo that did not make it into my top 10 is this white-tailed deer photo from Custer State Park. A few things I like about the deer photo here. Well, the first one, pretty obviously, is kind of the stance. I really do like the stance. You can see the antlers here pretty well. You can see the eyes, the face, the nose, the ears, the legs, the body of the deer, and all of this really nice photo. A few things I don't like about the photo. Well, the first thing is it is a little blurry, as you can clearly see right here. It's a little blurry. Other than that, it's not an awful photo. It was taken later in the day, maybe like less than 15 minutes before sunset. So if I increased the brightness and maybe the ISO a little bit, it might have been a bit better of a photo. But I'm still pretty happy with this shot. Honorable mention photo is this shot I got of a bison, or actually 3 bison, in Badlands National Park in South Dakota. The thing I really like about the photo is kind of the pose these 3 bison have, as you can clearly see. They're kind of just looking onward throughout the grasslands of the Sage Creek Rim Road area of the national park. I kind of like the herd back, the little group of bison here. It kind of shows the life of the herd, because bison are very social, or many of them, besides the solitary bulls. The only issues I have with this photo that did not make the top 10 is, I will say this, to be honest, there was a lot of smoke, as a lot of the wildfires in Canada, the smoke came down south, and a bunch of South Dakota had like haze. It was almost like a little blanket that was kind of blocking out the sunlight. So that's why the photo is very hazed, if that's a word. But there's a lot. The other issue I have is the photo is not awfully blurry, but it is a little bit. They are pretty far away, though, too. These were somewhat far. And the other thing I will say I didn't like about the photo is kind of, I think, the brightness. I might have raised it, and it might have made the back here look really brightened. But I do like that these 3 bison are pretty easily seen. And I do like this photo, so I don't think it's a bad photo. It's definitely not my best, but a pretty cool one, to be honest. So the next honorable mention photo is this prairie dog shot I got in Wind Cave National Park. There are a few things I do like about the photo. Well, the first obvious one is I like the prairie dog kind of in the sea of grass. It's definitely like showing like where a prairie dog's habitat is, which is open plains, as they make their burrows and they have their prairie dog towns out there. Another thing I do like about the photos, I kind of like how like some of the grass is kind of blocking the body. It just makes it look like he's hiding, but in reality, he's kind of just living life. It's a pretty nice photo. I do like it. The only big issues I have, and note the honorable mentions are not really ranked in order of how close they were. The closest one that probably would have made the list was probably that bison photo from last time. But the big issue I have with this prairie dog shot was that the prairie dog's head is like really like not easy to see. Like the sunlight was a pretty big issue, and I know a lot of people say don't shoot photography in sunlight, and I do. Some of my photos do work pretty well, some of them don't. But the biggest reason I still shoot is because I have a part of my camera where I can increase the brightness before I take a shot, which is like you would hold down the this button this here, which like, takes your photo, and then you would have this. So while I'm holding that down to focus, I can do this and it'll raise the brightness, which is pretty interesting on this camera, EOS R7. But that is probably something I should have done. That's really the only disappointing flaw I have with this shot. Other than that, it's not a bad photo. I definitely like it. Definitely not my best, and that's why I did not make the top 10. So number 10, first in the top 10, is the first and only landscape photo or scenic shot, and that's the yellow mounds at Badlands National Park. Now, I don't know the science behind how the yellow mounds became like this. So if you want to research that, you can. The cool thing though is they add such a very interesting tone to just Badlands' scenery, because there is some really cool scenic areas of Badlands National Park, despite being one of the less talked about parks, especially up compared to like with Yellowstone, Yosemite, Sequoia, Olympic, Glacier, Denali, Everglades, Smoky Mountains, Rocky Mountain, all that. But the thing I do love about this shot is I just like this kind of the sun kind of slowly setting, and just this very striking, like beautiful mountain scenery, or the beautiful Badlands scenery. This was at the Yellow Mountains Overlook. And yeah, the only things I would say, the only reason this is not higher is because I just like other photos I have more. It's not a bad shot. At least I don't know if it's blurry. It is a little blurry if you like zoom all the way in. But I'm very happy with this shot. I really like the Badlands formations in Badlands National Park. It's my favorite national park site in the state of South Dakota, and the only reason it beats out Wind Cave is just its scenery is more unique to me, besides Wind Cave's cave. Yeah, but Badlands is a really cool park, and these are really cool. It's along the North Unit Scenic Road, so you can stop, look, it's cool. So yeah, the only reason it's not any higher is because I just like other photos better. 9 on the list is this shot of a prairie dog at Wind Cave National Park in South Dakota as well. So big things I love about the photo right off the bat, and that is the fact that it's a really nice shot of a prairie dog in the plains of Wind Cave. And I call Wind Cave the prairie dog capital of South Dakota because, I mean, they're everywhere. The coolest thing about this photo is just I like it more than that one honorable mention shot I got. And the biggest reason why is because it's clear to see. The sunlight isn't really brutally like making it hard to see. A little bit of darkness here, which I think might have been from the sunlight. I don't remember, but it's a nice photo. I like kind of how this grass is not really focused on, then this grass is more, and then the back here is like a little bit not focused. A few things I will say about the photo. One, there are other photos I like a bit more, especially other prairie dog shots I got. The second one is that the prairie dog itself, I think the sunlight kind of dimmed down a bit of the prairie dog's face, or that might, I don't know. Also, the photo is pretty blurry-ish if you zoom all the way in, but when you like have it all the way out, it looks really nice. And that's something I like. So that is the biggest reasons. Those are the biggest reasons I didn't think this photo is any higher, but I definitely do like it. And yeah, so that's a big reason why this one's just a little under. The other ones is just there's better shots I have. So number 8 is this shot of a mule deer at Custer State Park. This was taken, I don't remember, I think it was towards the middle of the day, like later morning. But there are a lot of things I love about the photo. First of all, I really like the kind of way the deer is looking at the camera. You can clearly see his eyes, his mouth, his face, the antlers, the ears, really everything. The antlers as well. And this is a pretty good sized buck, as he has a pretty nice little rack going. The only things I don't like about the photo is I do have better shots, and this kind of the grass kind of blocks some of the deer's face a little bit, especially like right above his tongue. It blocks it a little. Um, Also, overall on the body, it kind of blocks. But other than that, it's a pretty nice shot. I also really like how his tongue's out, which is kind of funny, in my opinion. Um, I think it adds a pretty comedic element to the photo. And yeah, this is a pretty nice shot. I just have a few shots I like more, but I was very happy with this photo. So number 7 was this coyote shot in Custer State Park. This is definitely not my strongest photo. It is blurry right off the bat. But there's an element to this I really like. And that is the fact that this is the first time I've ever seen a carnivore or any kind of predator in a prairie dog town. I've never seen a coyote or really any other carnivore go into a prairie dog town and hunt for prairie dogs. Now, I didn't see it hunting any, but it kind of just walked in one of the bushes. But what I love about the photo is I just really like the shot with the coyote kind of with his head down, and he's kind of just wandering through. And then there's the prairie dog on the far right-hand corner, kind of blurred out. I really like the focus with the coyote, kind of the body and everything. And then the 2 prairie dogs up on the top of the screen. And I just think it's a really cool photo. I think it's just an interesting element. I would probably personally call this the prairie dog stalker, as it's just a cool photo for my personal opinion. A few things though with the photo. I think the biggest issue is it is slightly blurred, and I didn't have the ISO up. I had my brightness higher on my camera because it was later in the day, and sadly I couldn't really get a good shot, and I didn't have time to get the ISO up because my main goal was to get some photos of this coyote to remember, because this is the very first coyote I've ever seen in South Dakota. But I did really like seeing this coyote. It was just really cool, and it was one of the coolest encounters I had on my trip to South Dakota. Other than the blur, that's really the only issue with this photo. I like everything else about it. Number 6 is this shot of a red-headed woodpecker at Jewel Cave National Monument. So I took this along the Canyons Trail, which is the longest trail in the park. And I did really like this photo. There are many reasons why. I like the clearness. You can see the woodpecker pretty well. You can see the very beautiful colors of white, black, and red. And you can get a really good feel of like where it is. It's in a dead tree among other trees in the park. The only reasons that it's a little lower than the others is most obviously because I like other photos I got more, but this one I really liked, and the way it came out was pretty nice. This was the second woodpecker I saw on the trip to Jewel Cave, and I have seen one before in my life but never got a shot of it, so this is the second redhead woodpecker in my life I've ever taken a photo of. 5 on the list is this shot of a bison in Custer State Park. This is a young calf, as you can clearly tell. There are a few things I like about the photo. I like the close-up with it. You can really get a good detail of its horns, the face, the fur. I think that's really cool. The only things I'll say that I don't like about the image is that its eyes are kind of closed, so it's a little hard to see the eyes. The face is kind of being covered by the grass, and part of the body is like, the entire body really is being, there's like grass kind of like going over the body, so it's like hard to see that parts of the bison calf. But other than that, I like the photo. Number 4 on the list is this shot of a pronghorn at Custer State Park. This is probably one of my favorite images of a pronghorn I've ever gotten. I used the ISO to kind of raise it because the pronghorn was moving around a lot. This was taken later in the day, definitely. And a few things I love about the photo. I love how clear it is, like from this angle. You know, when you zoom it in, it is a little blurred, but I had to raise the ISO. I really didn't have a choice because the lighting was going, it was moving a lot, and it's a better shot than I would have gotten if I didn't raise the ISO. I love the photo as well because it's so clear and you can really see like the setting it's in. You could see a little bit of there are two prairie dogs behind it at the top of the photo. And also it's a really nice like showing of what colors the pronghorn is. It has black horns, a really dark black nose, a white kind of the jawline area. It's white. You could see the colors of like red or reddish orange, and then it kind of goes into white. I just really like how you can see that, and then you can see like where it is. It's like in a field of big open grassland plain, which is just super cool. And I really like pronghorn. They're one of my favorite animals to photograph, and they're one of the most interesting animals in the United States. 2 reasons I don't like this photo more than the other 3 is, one, the photo is blurred out. The pronghorn is kind of blurred out, and I think that had to do with the ISO because I did raise it, and one of the things photographers are afraid to do is raise it, obviously because it won't make it as clear as it can be, but you get a better shot than you wouldn't get so much motion blur. And then the plants around the pronghorn, the camera focused on it a little too much. When I was shooting, I didn't realize that. I think the plants kind of interfered with the focus, and then the plants got the focusing, and the pronghorn kind of didn't get enough. So that's all, though. Other than that, I love the photo. Number 3 on the list is this bighorn sheep shot at the National Park of Badlands. A few things I love about this photo. Well, right off the bat, it is of one of my favorite animals in North America. It is definitely in my top 5 for ones I love to photograph. And there's something so intriguing about seeing bighorns. The rams are really cool, but also if it's a baby, if it's a bighorn sheep lamb, if it's the ewe, that's what a female bighorn is called. It doesn't matter to me. As long as I see a bighorn, I'm happy. And this was the first one I've seen since October. I saw 2. There was another one, not in this photo. You notice it has a tracker that I don't know what that is for, so I don't know personally. I'm guessing it has to do with the monitoring them. I think that might be what they're doing. That's why they have them, but honestly, I have no clue. A few things I love about the photo. I like the setting. I kind of like how you have the formations of the Badlands. This is the first time I've seen bighorns on like any kind of cliffside, mountainside, hillside, any of that. You can see the bighorn pretty well. It is slightly blurred, yeah. The biggest reason it's on this list is I just like the landscape around it. It's just really cool. It shows you what bighorn sheep habitat is like. It's rugged, it's steep, it's kind of jagged. It's just really cool. A few problems. It is a little blurred. I will say that. I probably should have raised the ISO a bit. And honestly, other than that, this isn't a bad photo. On the list is this prairie dog shot at Badlands National Park as well. There was a lot of smoke out in Badlands National Park. Really, all of the areas in South Dakota we visited from the wildfires that have been going on in Canada. That's why it's a little harder to see them. But a few things I like about this photo. I really like how clear you can see the prairie dog. Clearly see the mounds. This is taken at the Roberts Prairie Dog Town along the Sage Creek Rim Road in Badlands National Park. I really like this photo. It's one of my favorites I've gotten of prairie dogs. I kind of like how I have so much room up here, so like you can see like the grassland behind it, the other mounds, all that. Not too many complaints. The only one I would say is maybe if I moved if I had the shot here, but it was a little bit more to the right, so like the left side of the photo was kind of not in here, and I just moved a little bit to the right, then I could get a centered shot of it, but not that bad, not that big of an issue. Other than that, I love the photo. On the list is this shot of a bison at Badlands National Park. This is one of, if not my favorite photos I've ever captured of this incredible animal. Bison are probably one of the most iconic mammal of the American West. I mean, Yellowstone, Badlands, really just an icon to the Western United States. The reasons I love this shot is I like the bison looking at me. You get to see the whole body. You can see the hooves, the legs, the torso, the head, the nose, the face, the eyes, everything. While yes, the background is a little bit annoying, note I had to raise my brightness for a few reasons. One, mostly because of the smoke, and because it was bright out there, but the smoke really did interfere with a lot of my photos that I did talk about in the last shot. So that's why I had to raise the brightness. So that would be the only complaint I have, but this is number one, not by a mile, but this is definitely my favorite photo from South Dakota. That from my trip. Note that the videos on my South Dakota trip are coming out about a week to 2 weeks after this video comes out. It's still a work in progress. Day one will be out, then a week later or a few days later, day two, and then day three. So be ready for those. Thank you so much for watching. Apologize for how long this is. I just elaborated a lot, but hopefully you like these photos. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.